And g'day, friends and fans. Welcome to Future Fantasy Empire. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, author of the book, The Boyhood of Cade, book one of The Empire of Elves. And this is an interview with, now, it's Augustine K Mulenga.
Yes.
Have I said it right?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks, David, for having me. My name is Kalenga Augustine Mulenga. I write under the name K.A. Mulenga, and yeah, I'm a children's books author. I've got 31 books to my name. I've also recently published my memoir and a couple of short stories as well. And I'm busy with a middle grade novel that should be released before the end of the year.
Now, as you said, you're self published, and those books are all in the links that I've put in the description below.
Yep, that's right.
Right. And growing up, when did you realize you wanted to be a writer?
Okay, I think I've always wanted to be a writer because I always looked up to my late dad, who was a journalist by profession. He actually became the first black editor of the Zambia Daily Mail, where that's where I'm originally from. And yeah, we had a great reading culture in our house. And just because I wanted to follow in the footsteps of my dad, I also started writing stories when I think I was about 10 years old. That was always my dream. Unfortunately, got derailed. Became an accountant, and but I followed my passion again in 2020, and that's when I published my first book, my first children's book.
Not to belittle accounting, I've done accounting, and it's surprising how many people I've come across who can't find a job and then become accountants because of the high demand for accountants.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those jobs they can't seem to attract people to, but it's,
Yeah,
you know, it's not hard. It's just when you make a mistake, it really stands out.
exactly. Yeah, so attention to detail is very important.
Yes, and it doesn't
Yeah.
help that uh, well, doctors say I'm a high functioning autistic, which explains my language difficulties and my I often get numbers in reverse order. So yeah,
Uh,
it's
okay.
having these your accountant is a challenge. Anyway, tell me
Okay.
more about your books.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, I've written 31 children's books for ages 2 to 8. Um, all of my books have a life lesson attached to them. Um, I've got a series of soccer books, two sets of series. One is made up of 6 books, and another is made up of 2 books. That's because I am an avid soccer fan. I love soccer, and my son loves soccer as well. Even though I used to play basketball, I was a semi-professional basketball player, but I love watching soccer. I wasn't really good at it, but I am a big soccer fan. I was quite good at basketball, like I said. But yeah, so all of my books have a life lesson attached to them. And yeah, it's just trying to help parents and teachers and caregivers, as an aid to help kids with teaching life lessons, and yeah, while entertaining them at the same time.
Oh, I was an under 8 player with the Chroma Kookaburras. You know,
Hmm.
that's a long time ago. Before my vision started to blur,
Okay.
and yeah, I was an avid player for quite some time.
Okay.
You're a prolific writer, actually.
Yeah.
So I understand you probably have a process. How do you prepare for your books?
Okay, so basically, like right now, I'm basically just focusing on marketing. But when I do have all my ideas for my next books, because I want to. My goal is actually to hit 50 by next year. So what I do is when I'm ready to release my next or to write my next books. I do research on what life lessons I haven't done yet, and then when it comes to characters, I always get advice from my family, uh, because obviously my books have got some animals as main characters, and some is obviously people, some is cars. Um, uh, some are the mythical creatures like dragons and unicorns. But yeah, so once I've got the main character in play, and I've got the actual life lesson, which is the topic of the book, then the creative juices just flow. I sit down and I can write, since they're children's books, sometimes I can write 3 to 4 books in a day. Um, and yeah, that's how I prepare. But what I do is I make sure I clear my diary for that day, and so that there's no interruptions, no meetings, and I lock myself in the office and yeah, get it done.
Well, that's discipline for you. It works. A
Yeah,
lot of people look for inspiration first. Do you have what are your inspirations? You mentioned animals and your
yep.
father.
Hmm. Yeah, so yes, definitely my inspirations come from my family, but I also get inspired by, because my love language is words of affirmation. So obviously when I get a good review, that just inspires me to, to write more, and not just a review from my readers, but actually from the people around me, because they'll definitely honest give me an honest opinion. So once they give me that honest opinion, it's what keeps me going basically, and that's what inspires me.
Uh, Honest opinions are valued opinions.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book or author?
Yeah, I think growing up, my favorite author was Roald Dahl. I read all his books, and my favorite was and still is the BFG. Um, yeah, so yeah, that is my favorite author. But when I was, when I got a bit older, I fell in love with thrillers, and I loved Robert Ludlum. Yeah, he was my favorite author. Yeah.
Hmm, I'm trying to think. I know I've read Robert, but I just can't think of a title right now. But
There was
I gra-
the Born Supremacy comes to mind.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Now, yes, that's the one I read.
Yeah.
The original Born Supremacy,
Yeah.
which was about more about secrets, lies, and blackmail within the Secret Service than the action thriller we got today.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
But it was really an eye opener to me, anyway, that you could actually see reality in it coming off the pages, if you understand
Yes.
what I mean.
Yeah.
How easy they could spin things, how you see the events in the book and then you see the reactions later to it, and it's like, wow, that is
Yeah.
just such spin, and
Yeah.
then you realize that, wait a minute, politicians talk like this.
Yep.
uh, you obviously do a bit of research. Do you have particular sources and methods?
Yeah, I mean, research obviously in this day and age, I always go to Google, but I make sure that, because obviously not all the things in Google are fact. So I make sure that I just don't take um, one article or one website. I make sure I take 3, 4, even 5, just to make sure, because, like I said, with animals being my main characters, I like to make sure that I get the facts right. Um, And yeah, so like for example, I had no idea, even though I live in Africa, I had no idea that there was an African skunk, and that's why it really um, made me want to write a book based on African skunk, and they're not even called skunks; they're called polecats, um, which I just found out, and that's why I've got a book called Polly the Polecat. But I did my research, and they actually are. They have the same sort of traits as the European skunks, but it's just that they call them polecats. But that's just one of the things that, yeah, I once I did my research, I got my books out, I did my Google, and yeah, I actually went to the library also to just pull out some books on polecats, and I do that for most of my books. Yeah.
Yeah, I do mythology, and I did a lot of research before I created the Kingdom of Sahara. And yeah, the amount of snakes, the amount of animals, the lifestyles. There's just such diversity there that I doubt people remember it all too. I'm sure a skunk would not even registered with most people.
Yeah,
It's it's tends to be the one they deliberately leave off.
exactly.
I'm going to the zoo. We're skipping S.
Yeah,
straight to the, or straight to the steakhouse because we know they're behind glass.
exactly. Uh,
but but again, as I said, I mostly dealt with mythology, and there are many universal mythical creatures. Um,
okay.
I actually found it quite fascinating reading. You lose yourself in African mythology. There's just such a rich tapestry and such a volume that I well, these days there's enough books on any subject to keep you reading for a lifetime.
True. True. Yeah.
But of course, we all start somewhere, and I tend to find myself as a well. I'm not a new writer, but I'm a relatively new published writer. I self-published in 2016, and I come across
Okay.
new writers all the time. And
Hmm.
that's a lot of the viewers looking for advice, as well as readers looking for more information about why I should buy this guy's book. So before
Hmm.
we get into that, we'll just cover briefly what advice would you give to a new writer?
Okay. Yeah. Basically, I would definitely give them advice to never not give up. That's actually the title of one of my soccer series. It's called Never Give Up. Um, it can be daunting because obviously you, especially if you want to get traditionally published. I mean, there's so many writers out there now, and not enough publishing houses. So the rejections, you get a lot of rejections, and that is why I ended up self-publishing as well. And yeah, I just persevered, and because the amount of people that I meet when I'm at book fairs or at markets selling my books, and they say, "But how did you do it?" Because I'm a writer, but I just feel that I can't get my books published, and that's one of my things is to persevere, and also just to 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 be fearless, I guess. Because if you hold that fear in, that means you never get published. And just to keep writing and believe in yourself as well. Yeah, that's another advice I would give. Definitely believe in yourself. If you want to be a writer, just have that self belief, and you will achieve what you want to
And
achieve.
like, and all true writers out there, right now, flipping their notebook, going, "Idea for a new book: Believe in yourself." There is a
Nice.
football one called "Bend It Like Beckham."
Yes.
It should have been titled "Believe in Yourself," but hey,
Yeah.
they had to be trendy at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
a lot of new writers find the process stressful. Now, of course, a lot of people don't, but
Yeah.
everybody has their own levels and own coping mechanisms of stress. How do you deal with it?
Okay, so mainly there's two things. I am a Christian, I'm Catholic, so I pray to release my stress. And another thing I like to do is take walks as well. Take walks while I'm listening to music. Yeah, so I am one of those people. When it comes to music, I listen to I think every single genre. So it could be jazz, it could be hip hop, it could be punk rock, it could be anything. Yeah, I listen to anything. So, but
Mm,
on my playlist, yeah, it's very diverse, and yeah, so that's what I do to release my stress. I just take a walk, put in my earpods, and yeah, but obviously pray before. I pray every day, especially when I am feeling kind of stressed.
yeah. Growing up, I was rather eclectic myself. I grew up with Kiss, um, Beatles. My mother was a Kiss fan and a Queen fan. My father was a Beatles fan. So I
Wow.
and uh, yeah, my grandmother, she listened to classical music. So a lot of different music.
Yeah.
But my love of reading actually came from my grandmother. She actually collected Agatha Christie novels.
Oh wow. Yeah, I love that good history.
She had them all, and she also had some of Robert Ludlum. That's where I read. That's where I got the. She
The
had the
Born.
original Born trilogy.
Yep.
Another one whose author I cannot remember, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Again, another one about the Cold War and the corruption of the Cold War
Okay, that I
and
don't
the
know.
betrayals of people wanting to get ahead,
Yeah.
covering up their covering up how good a spy master they were because they were
Yeah.
getting intel from the Soviets by selling, swapping secrets, trading
Secrets.
information,
Yeah.
and to cover it all up. One of their deep cover agents was betrayed and set
Mm.
up, and that's life, isn't it? That the
Yeah.
and there's some life lessons in those early novels that I read that
Yes.
still but it's just I never became a mystery writer though because I fell in love with fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Now, another way you seem to deal with stress, of course, is clear the slate and lock the door.
Yeah. That's it.
uh,
Yeah,
what
at
would
least
you?
my kids are big now, much bigger. I mean, my last born is 14, so at least once you tell them do not disturb, they listen. But yeah, I remember when they were much younger, that was a problem.
Uh, he's 14, mine's 13, so I don't have to tell him not to disturb me. He's got a phone. What would you like to do when you're not writing?
Yeah, obviously read.
Hmm.
I'm one of those. I don't know whether you could call me a weirdo that I read two books at a time.
There's a
But
name
yeah,
for it. There's a name for it, but I just a book lover,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So yeah, I read two books at a time. Um, like I said, I love on TV these days. I only watch sports. I used to be a movie buff and stuff like that, but I just don't feel the I don't know. I just fell out of love with movies. So I read a lot, and on TV, like I said, I only watch sports. Number one being soccer, but I also watch basketball when it's basketball season. I watch the rugby because there's a rugby World Cup on now. Watch tennis. Um, yeah, those are the main ones. Not really into the Formula One and stuff like that. And golf, I used to play, but I can't watch it. And yeah, that's basically what I do. I read and I watch sports.
I read and I write, and I do YouTube videos. um, Now, of course, you know, is there anything you'd like to add? Anything to highlight some of your books before you go?
Okay, yeah, basically, I think one thing that I think people would find interesting, like I said, is that obviously my main genre is children's books, but I do have a short memoir available on Amazon. It's called Makeni Homeboys. That is based on my time growing up in Zambia and playing for our neighborhood basketball team, which we formed. What it is that obviously Zambia is a soccer loving nation. So basketball wasn't one of the well sponsored games. So we always had to make a plan for ourselves. Sometimes we'll end up having to build our own courts. So it's very interesting. And it will also teach you quite a lot. You'll learn quite a lot about, my journey into from growing up in Zambia to finally moving to South Africa. Also stayed in England for a while. But yeah, I think people will enjoy that. It's free on Kindle Unlimited, and it's an ebook on Amazon. And then obviously for my children's books, I'll just um, advise people with kids ages 2 to 8, and also for schools and yeah, for libraries, children's libraries. I think they all teach a life lesson, and I think everyone, children and adults alike, can learn from my books.
That's beautiful. Uh, Before we go, I'd like to mention I love context, and for those who don't know, Zambia actually refers to itself as the real Africa, and they actually and their
Yes,
tourist
that's true.
documentation
Yeah,
is on YouTube. Zambia, the real Africa, and you can learn a
yeah.
lot.
Mm,
And it's one of the most, shall I say, more ecologically diverse parts
that's
of
true.
Africa, and it's very
Yeah.
clean, very beautiful, unlike
Mm.
some areas of the world, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so check out Augustine's. Oh, sorry, it's K.A. Augustine, isn't it?
Yeah, K Mulenga. That's what I write
K.A.
under. That's
Yeah, check out K.A. Mulenga's website below in the description. You can sign up to his newsletter there. It's
yeah,
occasional. He's not going to spam you. He's just going to
yeah,
fill you in when his next book's coming out.
yeah. And if you
And it
sign up, sorry, you can get a free book as well.
and I'm not sure if I put that in the description. I'll just check, and I have. Very good,
Okay.
very good. Thank you for coming, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, David.
Goodbye. No,
Okay.
you're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot. Thanks. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye now.